Okay, I made it to location this morning. We're literally in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. Took me about 3 hours to get here. I left earlier than I needed to just because I was driving through a storm and I was a little concerned about, making it on time. So it was on paper only like a 2.5 hour drive. But because of the weather, I decided to give myself a little bit more time to get down here. But yeah, I'm working as a local in Oklahoma. So, call time wasn't too bad. It's 10 o'clock call time. So if it would have been like 7 o'clock call time, I would have had to have left at like 4 or 5 a.m. But, 10's not too bad. That's why I was able to make this one work. So I got this job from a post on Facebook. A producer was looking for a gaffer in kind of a nearby city, Little Rock, Dallas, and I think it was Tulsa. And I'm a part of a few different Facebook groups, and I always see posts where they are looking for a gaffer in this city or a DP in this city. So I always just try and keep an eye out for anything that kind of pertains to me or nearby my location. So this job was very easy. They were looking for a gaffer with a 1-ton and some lights. So this kind of was perfect fit for me. We were just filming interviews and B-roll over the course of 2 days. We had 3 different locations. So very typical. Definitely something I could do. So I jumped on it as soon as I saw the post, and then I talked to the producer, and we had everything ready to go the next day. And that kind of leads me to my next point is dedicated crew or one-man band. I know for me, I definitely like being a part of more of the creative for every shoot, as opposed to sometimes when it's just dedicated crew, you're just kind of in your lane, and someone's just telling you what they want and you're just making it happen. And that's totally fine. That's how it's done on like bigger shoots, is you have dedicated lanes and everyone just kind of stays in their lane. If you're not an audio guy, you're not touching the XLR. I've been a part of lots of shoots like that, and to each their own, whatever you like doing more of. I just know for me, those gigs where I'm a dedicated gaffer or dedicated camera or whatever, I just don't enjoy as much. It's more of a paycheck for me. Not saying there aren't special cases where you get on a shoot and it's they're asking your input, like what kind of light do you think we should put up here, or what color temperature do you think we should shoot inside if we want like a blue light coming through the window. When it's more of like a collaborative, I definitely enjoy those more, as opposed to when someone's just telling me, put this light over here, connect everything to SIDIO, and just hand me your iPad. That to me is not as fun. And, at that point, it's just a transactional paycheck where, I'm just getting paid to bring stuff and set it up, and then other people are just more a part of the creative, and they're not looking for input. And I'm not saying this job was like that. Everyone on this crew was super cool and easy. I just noticed on the last couple of shoots that I've been a part of where I felt like it's just been more of a transactional job and less of a creative effort. It's just been, do what you're told sort of thing. I know for me, when I'm looking for crew, I do like having someone who's an expert in audio or an expert in gaffing or whatever, and having dedicated positions. But I know for me, when I'm looking to hire someone, I tend to look for someone who's more of a one-man band type shooter who can do a little bit of everything. I just find it easier to work with people who are willing to jump in to other roles if they need to. I like people who will see me struggling trying to set up something and just be like, hey, I know how to do this. you can go work on something else. Like, I got this. As opposed to sometimes when I hire someone who's dedicated to something, they are just in their lane, and it's like, you know, if I hire them for audio, they're not touching anything else. They're not touching a sandbag, a stinger. Not saying there hasn't been an exception, but that's typically how it is. And I know for me, I really like people who can jump in and do a lot of things really well. And I know there is that saying where it's a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like, I get that. And obviously, you know, that can be the case. But I know for me, in my experience now, is I know people who are really good at just about everything. And I can trust them to be my audio guy for one day. And then the next day I can trust them to be my DP, or I can trust them to be my gaffer, or whatever. They can just do lots of things really well because they're a one-man band shooter, you know, in their own. And I'm not trying to knock on people who are dedicated to something. I feel like that definitely has its place. I just know for my personal experience, I like working with people who can kind of do a lot and not just one thing. Not only does it make the production better, but I feel like it makes the overall shoot easier, knowing that I can rely on multiple people to do multiple things in a pinch. Obviously, best case scenario, everyone just does their part and then it all comes together and it's great. But I know for me, a lot of my shoots are people who can do lots of different things. And I'll give you guys an example of something that just didn't sit well with me. I was on a shoot and I was the dedicated gaffer, and the DP just asked for like the most complex lighting setup that I've ever been a part of. It was just asking for the moon, something that like I probably would have needed like 3 other people to help me set up. And the DP was going over everything they wanted. And then after they finished telling me what they wanted, they're like, I'm going to go hit up Crafty, get a coffee. You just let me know when you're done. And, you know, I've worked with other DPs who are very hands-on and will have pretty high expectations for what they want, but at least they're offering to like, hey, I know this is a lot. Let me help you. As opposed to now I have an AD breathing down my neck saying, hey, we need to be rolling in like 5 minutes. Like, how soon can you get this done? And another thing that I feel like is a little bit toxic in kind of dedicated crew members is treating other crew members that are lower just like garbage. Like if someone's a PA or if someone's a grip or something like that, they just kind of give them so much grunt work. And, you know, I get it. You have to pay your dues if you're young. Like, I totally understand that. But there's just been so many times where, you know, someone needed a sandbag or an apple box and they'll see the grip like on a ladder, like doing something pretty strenuous, and they'll go over and they're like, hey, when you're done, I need a sandbag over here and then I need an apple box over here. As opposed to, hey, like, we need a sandbag. Do you mind if I go grab one and I don't have to bother you with it? Like, even just giving like the option to do that, as opposed to like, hey, I need a sandbag, I need a apple box, like I need all this stuff, and I'm just gonna go hit up Crafty and wait for you, and then have the AD breathe down your neck. And I feel like I've seen a lot of toxic workflow like that, and I just feel like I just don't like being a part of those types of shoots, and I always try to avoid shoots where I know it's gonna be like that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below what roles you guys kind of prefer and your input on the topic, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.